Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Star Wars Stuff Podcast. My name is David,
I'm Colin.
And I'm Josh.
and this is where we talk all things Star Wars Celebration Europe 2023. Day number 2 is in the books.
Day number 2. Let's go.
Big panel, of course, was Ahsoka.
This is
And-
easily the busiest day that we've seen so far.
It was a Saturday.
I know. It's just easy. Like in comparison
Yeah.
from our first day, this was like insane.
100%.
Amount of people.
100%.
So, one person in our group got to go to the celebration stage and witness the Ahsoka panel in person, see all the celebrities, get all the announcements immediately, not the whole delayed reaction. The Twin Sons, no, none of that. He got the full brunt
Yeah.
of the Filoni first.
Celebration stage, man.
So, Colin, how was the Ahsoka panel in person?
Just the vibe was amazing. Everyone was so happy to be there, and then as soon as you had, the greatness that is Dave Filoni and John Favreau walking out, everyone was standing up. I think every single person that walked on stage, everyone stood up, and just being there was, and this is actually something I just talked to you about, and it's the reason why that I do my best to try and get into big panels like this, is because when the show comes out and I'm sitting and I'm watching Ahsoka, I'm gonna look back and be like, I was at the panel, I was there, I was with the creators, I was with the actors, and now watching this is more like, it's more meaningful to me because I was in the same room as that, and that's why I like going to panels, personally. And especially with all the new projects that were announced, I'm like, man, I'm gonna be able to look back and be like, I was there for that announcement, I was there for that trailer. So just being there, as soon as the new footage dropped and everything, I was just saying to myself, I can't believe I'm here, because it's a big deal for these panels. So yeah, it was awesome.
So obviously Colin won the lottery and got in. And what were the big reveals that you got from the Ahsoka panel? Because there was a lot of debate.
Yep.
We got Ahsoka stuff at the Lucasfilm Showcase. What could they possibly show us at the Ahsoka panel?
Right. So my prediction was that they were just going to show more footage from the actual, like, just kind of add to the trailer, kind of like what they did with the Mandalorian 3+ panel from last year. And that's exactly what they did. It was just an extended trailer with new footage. There's some footage that no one's really talking about. I mean, everyone's talking about the main stuff, which is Lars Mikkelsen is back as Thrawn, live action, and you actually
Get to see Thrawn's face.
you actually saw his face,
his
and
mug.
not just the back of his head. And I think they showed us that because coming up soon in Mando, it's going to make sense that we'll see him probably in the season finale, just to kind of set Ahsoka up. But before we get to that, we see in the shot of the trailer, which we'll do our full trailer breakdown when we do. I'll add the extra footage in. But for the new stuff that we got from the trailer, we see this cylinder kind of rise out of the ground, and then out of the cylinder is a smaller one, and it's black, and she's in this temple. And then the other footage is Sabine using a green lightsaber. Now, it's just not any green lightsaber. It is Ezra's lightsaber. And she is fighting a Sith Inquisitor that it looks like. It hasn't been 100% confirmed, but the person that she's fighting looks very similar to the eighth brother from Star Wars Rebels. The eighth brother was the
one that's like flying away.
yes.
And gets his like lightsaber cut by Maul.
Yep, and he like kind of falls down. So it looks like he survived. His outfit, his helmet looks very similar to what we saw in Rebels.
Is
And
his
then
lightsaber the same?
it was a Sith Inquisitor lightsaber.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe we're gonna get like the flying on screen.
I mean, I know a lot of people were
Live
hoping
action
for that
flying
in
Kenobi.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, yeah. But his outfit and just his look is very, like, it's very old, it's very rusty. It's he looks like that, like it just looks like a character's been through a lot. And then we get the shot of Thrawn returning, and that was like of not just the back of his head but his face, and you actually see his eyes, and his eyes aren't fully out red. Like you actually see his pupils. I know Josh was kind of very.
It's something that I
Skeptical.
understood in the animation wise. I just wanted it to be like
Yeah.
like book accurate and description accurate of what we've seen
Yeah.
beforehand. But I mean, I guess it makes sense.
And then we got another shot where there is it's them in the Phantom, and it's at the very end. So it shows the title of Ahsoka, and then right after it, it's them flying somewhere. And I think this is maybe where they're about to find Ezra or something, because a Purgle is flying right at them, and then they dodge it, and then you look in the cockpit, and you got Sabine in there, and then you have Ahsoka in there. But Ahsoka's wearing a bright blue and white jumpsuit, and then boom, done, face to black. But that's all the new footage that we got, and we were lucky to see it twice. And again, just the vibe in the room was awesome, and it definitely made me more excited for Ahsoka. We also got a confirmation from the name from their actual full names of the two dark side characters. Dave Filoni would not let them say anything. Like he was like, "You can say your names, but you can't say anything else."
Yeah.
But yeah, it was awesome.
Nice. Anything that you expected that you didn't get?
Ezra.
I saw the table and I was like, okay, that looks like enough room for people. And then as the actors that were already announced started slowly walking, I was like, okay, wait a minute, we are running out of room. So at that point, I didn't think we were going to have Thrawn actually come out until we saw him in the trailer. I was like, okay. But then Lars came out, like he actually
Cool.
came out and he talked in his awesome voice, and I'm like, it's Thrawn. And it was great to see that.
How big was the cheer in the room for Thrawn?
Oh, huge, bro. Huge, man.
Biggest cheer in the room?
Yeah. Because Thrawn is, to me, Thrawn is going to be like the Thanos of the whole, of just everything happening with, like, in the Mandoverse.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they call it, right? Like, at this point. Like, it's...
Well, some people like to call it the Filoni-verse. Some people like to call it the Favaloni-verse.
Right.
I think that was something that was pretty interesting that I had brought up earlier, is that all the things that we've seen is very like lightsaber heavy, and nothing's really been like naval battles. And I feel like Thrawn's whole thing has been naval battles.
Yeah.
And it's going to be interesting for them to try and bring that in, and we're going to see more of it on screen, because I feel like we haven't seen much of that on screen.
The other thing is when they were all there, like for all the actors that were lined up and talking, they were talking about the stunt coordinator and how hard she worked with them. And then Mary Winstead was like, I mean, I didn't do any of that stuff, but it sounds like you guys had a blast, but I'm glad that I didn't have to do any of it. And it does sound like there's a lot of lightsaber action in this. And from the trailer, of seeing Ahsoka fight the Sith Inquisitor, of seeing Sabine turn on Ezra's lightsaber, and then they're about to fight was also interesting as well. It's awesome to see all of Dave Filoni's creations, like from the Clone Wars to Rebels, just kind of come to live action. And I know something that you were really excited about was the baby Lothcat.
Yeah, a little animatronic they had for the Lothcat. I think that was like one of my favorite things to see at Galaxy's Edge. But they kind of like changed the design of the Lothcat for this.
Yeah,
I don't know why, but I was like, I like it even more. They made it even cuter.
Or maybe it's not a Lothcat and it's something else, because of there's like,
I don't know. Yeah,
there's like different
Could be
variations. Yeah, because of there's different variations of the creature. I'm just trying to think of anything.
So there was no hints maybe of like a Jason Syndulla appearance?
Well, I mean, if Jason does show up, it's not going to be like a very big part, because there's that.
You don't think they could maybe be hiding that, and he is a big part? Because they didn't show a lot of Hera, and you would figure Jason would be would be with Hera.
Okay, so here's my thing though, is that I think Jason's going to be in it because of that. Because of
You would figured he has because he was like one of the big reveals.
Well, they did the classic leak from Lego where they're like, "Hey, we're doing all these sets," and one of them was the ghost from Ahsoka.
So yeah, we're fully expecting to see the ghost.
And Jason is in there. So is
okay.
And fun fact, that's Dave Filoni got that the inspiration for Jason Syndulla's name from Jason Solo from Legends.
Okay, makes sense.
Yep.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but yeah, I was not expecting I think that was kind of on the back burner for me. I wasn't expecting that. I was hoping something, which again they might just be saving for the show. But when Ahsoka goes into the world between worlds, and from the actual trailer you kind of see that happening, of when she's fighting the force wielder. I'm wondering if during that she ends up maybe crossing paths with Kanan in a different timeline or something, so that way Freddie Prinze Jr. can also be live action as well. And in the trailer, she's how she's saying hey, something's coming and all that stuff. I think she's talking to Force Anakin. I'm hoping, or she's talking to Anakin in the world between worlds. What's your opinion?
I think that interaction would be just so weird and interesting to see.
I think we had that conversation earlier.
I think I don't think it would work because they would just be like, "Hey, you killed a whole bunch of people. What's up, Master? What's going on?" I knew there was some good in you. I think it just doesn't sound like it would be.
Their last interaction was Vader was
like, "Hey, I killed you." I think
in the original timeline, which by the way, before you watch the show, watch Rebels. I don't know if that's been made clear. I think Dave Filoni was like, "Hey, if you get the chance, watch Rebels."
And Dave was on.
Yeah. Yes. And this David too. So I highly recommend watching Star Wars Rebels. Because
I got the clips, bro. Don't worry.
Because the Ahsoka show is going to make a lot more sense. Because there is something called the World Between Worlds, and it's kind of on the fine line of time traveling. And it's kind of in the line of Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, because in a particular episode they go through this crazy stuff, and if you don't watch it, you're going to be very confused of why it's happening in the Ahsoka TV show. So highly recommend watching it. But in the trailer, you have Ahsoka actually talking to someone in the world between worlds, and you also have her fighting one of the force wielders in the thing. So again, I would definitely check it out if you have the chance. Check out Star Wars Rebels.
What's up, Maga? Yeah, one of our best patrons. Any reference to maybe a World Between Worlds stuff, or do we just have it in the signage and the logo?
Because we had it in the trailer. I just don't know if you guys saw anything new with you.
I didn't see anything in the new footage.
Okay.
Yeah, there was only maybe 6 or 7 new scenes, but the World Between Worlds stuff was not in there.
Okay.
I think a lot of people's biggest question was who that new Jedi or Dark Jedi or whatever that master was in that trailer, and why it's in the World Between Worlds and what's going on with that. So I was like, did you get anything from that trailer, or was that only based hey, look, here's Thrawn?
Yeah. So the actor is Ray Stevenson, right?
Yes.
A really big dude.
Yeah.
And he was the Punisher in a film way back when. Yeah. In between, I think
he swore on stage.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What did you gonna tell him? No.
He is 6'3" too. So when he walked on stage, he was just this big guy, and then everyone else was shorter. So that's awesome. Yeah.
Nice. It looks like someone named James Herrera says Disney Plus has an Ahsoka Essentials playlist. Started watching them last night. Just like they have the Mandalorian Essential kind of Bo-Katan centric playlist as well. You can watch a bunch of that stuff.
Bears hat. Okay, so they didn't.
I honestly
Yeah, they didn't mention anything about Barris. I think if she's gonna show up in the show, it's gonna be like a surprise, because they didn't mention any of that stuff. The only reason why I think they showed Thrawn is because it's coming up in Mando. I think that will be that Thanos type moment when he shows up in the season finale. Do you have a problem with that, or
No, it's just of what we've seen.
Yeah.
The newest episode.
yeah? Josh and I had we were very lucky
We've
enough to
seen
watch.
episode 23.
Yes.
So
We can't really.
I can't say what happens in 23 technically, but I mean, from
It's gonna hype you
what
guys up.
we've seen. It's like it's
So good.
it's setting up for Thrawn to come in. So
It's definitely plot driven. It's not like the episode with Jack Black and
it's
Lizzo.
not a
Wow.
goofy episode.
Yeah.
It's like a 180, like just
Yeah, no.
flip, huh?
No Lizzo, unfortunately. Sorry, guys.
That episode also felt like OG, like OG Mandalorian, and I was really, really pumped about that. The lightsabers are orange. They actually did talk about that.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Why are they?
they didn't talk about
They
that.
don't want to spill that.
Nope.
I definitely think that it has something to do with Gray Jedi feel. I know that they're not bringing back Gray Jedi, but I feel like we're going to get to this point where they're going to show it off and be like, this is the in-between kind of thing, because Ahsoka is that in-between feel.
Right.
People keep saying like she's Jedi, but like, I mean, we know as fans, it's kind of like she's nowhere. She's
Right.
just in the between, and she does what she likes. And I feel like we're going to finally get a kind of definitive, like, I am this, and this means that I am both light and dark at the same time.
Right. For how much news we got from Star Wars Celebration this year, this might be the best one yet.
What's up, Derpy?
At least in a while. I'd say since 2017. So
Can you think all the way back to 2017?
I mean, I loved Celebration 2017 because that was my favorite one. But for news-wise, honestly, I don't think it was.
Yeah, because that was the whole Last
Yeah.
Jedi celebration.
2019 will probably be my favorite. 2019 was a big step forward for the Star Wars universe and Lucasfilm. I'm gonna probably speak for James and say his was probably 2015, because that's when Star Wars was like boom, like
Star Wars is coming back.
We're back.
Yeah.
and you know, again, if you're not for the sequels, that's totally fine, but just probably being in that room for The Force Awakens and then walking out and just being like, man, like it's been a long time. It's been 30 years or something like that. Like since like at that point, what, like 30, 35?
Well, since the prequels, it was
well, yeah,
it was only 10 years.
Yeah, but
technically.
right, but
since
from
the original trilogy,
yeah,
it was a few decades.
and then they continued that story, and
Right.
that was a big deal at the time. And then you had Force Friday coming in, and people buying action figures, all that. But 2019 for me was like a big step forward for Star Wars.
I do feel like this year was an absolute info dump.
Yes,
To say like, hey, look at all the stuff that we have, and here's the footage for it. Actually,
a 2-hour panel.
and I feel like
for
that
this
is
film.
more like positive in the fact that we saw, like, I mean, was 2017 where they had like the whole timeline of all the different movies that were coming out and
Yeah.
TV shows. Yeah, that was just kind of like here's something that we're gonna make, and then most of it didn't actually end up getting
Yeah.
made. Whereas this, they showed us the footage of stuff where it's like it is in production or done. Here's the things that we have done, and I'm like, that is so much a more definitive proof than whatever that timeline thing is. And including what we saw was like, we have 3 new movies, and they're at the beginning stages. We have the pre, and then after in the middle. And I'm like, in my head, the one that would come the most out of any one of those 3 would be the Dave Filoni one.
I was surprised with how much footage we actually got. And I brought my notepad, like the nerd I am, and it was hard for me to keep up with the notes because there was so much like.
And then they even threw in Indiana Jones. Like, it's like,
Yeah, well, so
Yeah, bonus.
I kind of figured they would do that, like, because it was called the Lucasfilm.
I know,
Panel.
it was just funny
So,
to me because
yeah.
I was like, they're just throwing everything they have in this.
They also
And now Willow too.
Yeah, Man, yeah, that's what got canceled. I'm really sad about that.
I don't think it got canceled. I
No,
just think they just
it got
didn't
pushed
renew
back.
it.
Yes, you're absolutely right. It did get pushed back. But the news that just dropped was just all at once. It was 2 hours. It was like, okay, that's crazy. And I loved the fact that we got that. And it's because of what Josh said. We are going on that year break next year. And
There's only 1 year.
And it's not really a year break per se because we're gonna get Skeleton Crew.
I'm talking more of like a break
And
from Celebration.
Acolyte.
Yeah. Because if we are getting Skeleton Crew, we are getting the Acolyte. There's a chance that we might get a Star Wars game in there too somewhere, possibly.
I think like Celebration in general is your main news drop piece.
Yeah.
They still have May the 4th and they still have D23. So it's not like they can't just throw that stuff in, but I've always thought that like D23 is like your more Marvel side, and then May the 4th is like, maybe we'll tease you with a little bit. We're not going to actually break you down with some, like, they'll probably drop the trailers that we saw May the 4th. That's when I think that you'll start getting more of the trailers that we saw December time of this year, and then May.
Do they have a panel for Vision Season 2? I don't think we checked.
Maybe.
Okay, that might be something that we might want to go to if they end up having it tomorrow. Or I mean, because
I think they do actually.
Yeah.
I think they do have it tomorrow. And then Vision Season 2 is going to drop on May the 4th.
Yep.
So it's right around the corner.
And including the Adventures of the Young Jedi, that new kids show coming out as well. That's dropping as well. And then they also just announced, as we started to record, that they are doing Season 2 of Tales of Jedi, and that's really, really exciting because Season 1 was phenomenal.
I think the thing that I think everyone's going to start speculating now is just who the Jedi are going to be, or of where we're going to go with this, because
Kid Fisto's journey. No, I'm just kidding. It's just like some
of two characters' journeys. So I don't want it to be people who are extremely popular. Like, I think that people are like, I would love to see one for Vader, and I was like, no, I don't. Please no.
I could see them doing like young Obi. Like
that's exactly
young
what I'm saying.
Obi-Wan,
It's him.
like
It's him
Qui-Gon.
you know how he had his brother, and this is showing
Yeah.
how he kind of remembers his brother. I'll be like, no, please don't.
I think they would do that because something good about the Clone Wars is that it did build a lot of background for these characters. And there's stuff for Obi-Wan where they talked about him when he was younger, and him, Qui-Gon, and Duchess Satine. She wasn't Duchess at the time, but they had to be on the run from these bounty hunters, and they had to run through like the sewers and stuff like that to survive. And seeing young Obi-Wan like that would be really cool. But there's a lot of potential for.
But I mean, like for me, like the standout episodes for me during that whole series was all the things to do with Dooku. And I feel like we never got this kind of cool backstory for Dooku. I mean, I like Ahsoka, but the standout stuff
Agreed.
was all Dooku
Yeah.
stuff. So I feel like they have to grab a character that doesn't have this insane backstory piece and like that has been shown yet, and then actually show it through animation.
There's actually a lot of great comments here. There is the Dark Disciple animation. That would be great. I don't know if we would get it, but that would be a great story. And then you also have, which is kind of connected, which is having Quinlan Voss.
I wouldn't doubt
story.
the Quinlan Voss one where you do the one with him and Asajj Ventress.
Right.
Those two.
And then that would kind of
That'd be really cool.
make
Have a tie
fans
between
kind
the
of
two.
be at ease about the Dark Disciple, because
That
I'm
would
just
be really
doing
cool.
that whole book was supposed to be an arc in the Clone Wars, but then when Lucasfilm made that deal with Disney and Disney bought Lucasfilm, they turned it into a book instead of being that 3-episode arc of the show, or however long the arc was supposed
That
to
would be
be.
very good.
But yeah, Plo Koon. Yeah. Plo Koon would be very.
Filoni.
That would be very Filoni. Yeah.
Clones. I like clones a lot.
Yeah. Oh man. I would expect it would be someone that maybe Dave Filoni is kind of playing close to the chest, and I think that's why they didn't really do a lot with the Ahsoka panel. They like showed a lot, but they didn't do a lot, if that makes sense. Because he didn't want to talk about anything with the new Force wielders. He didn't want to talk about the lightsabers. There were some things when like they were start talking about it. I going to a couple of panels watching Dave Filoni, to look at Dave Filoni to see if he's hiding something. And when they start talking about like a certain subject, he would kind of scrunch his face up or just be like that. And so it sounds like we're going to be in for a wild ride for Ahsoka. And he also did talk about how when they made season 1 of the Bad Batch, he was very jealous of the animation team because he had some involvement, but he wasn't like there.
Right.
So the whole point he made Tales of the Jedi was because he wanted to have fun and he wanted to get back into that Clone Wars like kind of phase. So he went back and did Tales of the Jedi, and it sounds like he had a blast with it. Because
some dedication.
Hang on. Need Quinlan soon. I need my Quinlan because of Dark Disciple favorite Brooke. Okay, well there you go. You have it.
Yeah, that's my buddy Eddie. He's been a member of the group and my friend since 2015, I think, like 2014.
Oh, that's cool.
So yeah, and he's actually here in London.
Oh, cool.
Just haven't run into him yet. So
there you
shout out to Eddie.
Yeah. There's a lot of news that is still to happen. We got 2 days left, guys.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they're gonna say or talk about. I wonder if they'll show some animation from Visions too.
Tomorrow,
they'll probably have like the directors for some of the episodes there, which would be really cool for the animation teams.
For what?
Visions.
Yeah. They also are gonna have tomorrow is the panel for Obi-Wan, and then they also have the panel for the villains of the sequels. That's going to be really interesting, and I know a lot of people are hoping that we'll end up getting a Knights of Ren show announcement. I could see them doing that.
I think they're going to talk more about the where they want to go for the future of the villains in the sequels, that and or maybe writing what it was like writing the villains in the sequels.
Right. Yeah. That new Daisy Ridley film gives that panel a lot more context now that maybe we are going to get a little bit of a drop or a reintroduction of maybe another character.
Or like what was building in the background so that was coming in the next 15 years of what's causing something.
Speaking of villains, David and I had the chance to meet the Supreme Leader today. We had the chance to do a photo op with Andy Serkis, and that was awesome. David really convinced me, and I'm really glad he did, because I do a Smeagol impression, and it's not like your normal one. It's like
a top tier, high quality.
Yeah, I don't need to do it on
Smeagol / Gollum impression.
I don't need to do it on the podcast, but I greeted him, and he was taken by surprise, and he was like, "Yeah, that was really good," and that made me so happy. Because I've been a fan of Lord of the Rings and just Gollum since I was a kid. And I even did a scene for a talent show as Gollum. And I remember people coming up to me about it. You heard the first order. Now prepare for the second. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, so no, that was awesome to do that.
Well, wait a minute. We got the final order. So they bypassed the second order. It went to the final order.
Well, how about the
to-go order? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something I've always wondered with, which is what the second film in the sequel trilogy. I always thought they were trying to lead to the whole kind of like we're going to stop the whole Jedi and Sith thing and become something new. And I felt like that was what the plan was. And I was like, I'm on board with that. It's very interesting, something new. And then the sequel after that didn't go along with any of that kind of plan. So I've always wondered what is going to be like is Ahsoka still alive at this point? Because we don't know technically, because Dave Filoni's like, just because she was in that kind of like ghost talking to Rey during that battle doesn't mean she's necessarily dead. And I was like, okay. So it makes me wonder if there's actually going to be something to do with that. And they're going to be like, oh, well, I was also a Jedi at one point, and I spanned the beginning, middle, and end. So that'll be interesting.
So the new episode was great. Again, we can't talk about it. You'll have to find out next week. But
what they can't say is it was a great episode, and everyone's probably going to overwhelmingly.
It was probably, I would say that is definitely like my favorite episode so far of this season.
It felt cinematic.
It had emotional stakes, and I was surprised after having the last episode that we had was just so goofy. And then it comes off to this, and I'm like, wow, that is a definite mood change. So if you were watching this all in one take, like you're watching episodes back to back to back, and binging it, yeah, you'd be like, whoa, okay, that was a whiplash of an episode.
Yeah. And I think that was also nice for some people who are kind of staying until Wednesday like us, because there's a chance that we wouldn't be able to watch it as we're having the flight and everything. So yeah, it worked out. But yes, very, very good episode. That was day 2. We briefly talked about 1, but when we actually get back to the States, I took a bunch of notes, so we'll do like a breakdown for like each individual thing, and there might be more information for that stuff.
Yeah, Cullen and I also took this picture.
Yes,
you could see that with the glare.
That was great. Ewan's look kind of threw me off because I walked up and his hair was a different color than his
he's working on some other film, so they couldn't be touching. So
but that also was a great moment too, because that was my childhood. So and crazy enough, David's met Ewan and I've met Hayden, so it was the other way around. But then
full circle,
the COVID thing happened last night to where they had to change the regulations, and they had to put R2 in the middle. But
yeah, that's the closest I've ever been to Hayden Christensen.
Yeah.
So to see him standing there while he's next to Obi-Wan Kenobi, Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
And again, Ewan McGregor, he made a comment. I said, Star Wars the podcast. I opened up my jacket, showed him the shirt we had on.
And he was like, oh, what? Yeah.
And then I said, Star Wars the podcast. He's like, oh, yeah, it's you guys again. I think we have like 4 pictures with Ewan now.
Yep. So these are the moments that I love, and these are the moments that kind of keep me going, like for this kind of stuff, and it's that drive and that passion that is just fantastic, and it's off of these moments like this.
One thing I haven't told you guys, so after I got Andy Serkis's autograph on the photo Colin and I took with Andy Serkis, I was letting the ink dry. And I look up, and there's just Matt Mikkelsen right in front of me, sitting by himself, no one in front of him, trying to get his autograph.
Oh.
And I simply just approach him, and I just kind of start talking to him.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
And yeah, he was like, hello. I was like, hey, how's it going? I really loved you in Casino Royale. And,
I love Hannibal.
Yeah.
Hannibal?
And one of his handlers was like, do you have a QR code? I was like, no, I'm trying to buy one right now. The connection was really bad in the building. So she's like, okay, go around. The connection's probably better. Or you can go to the Official Picks booth and just buy it with cash. I don't have cash. I don't have pounds. So I was like, okay, I'll just go outside and maybe buy it there. Then a ride came, and then it was time for the whole setup. But yeah, Mads Mikkelsen was just sitting right there. I was kind of like observing him, and he was just there.
That's awesome.
And right behind him was Indira Varma. She got up and walked right next to me. I guess she went to use the restroom or something and came back with bodyguards.
I think most people have been saying, man, like the Wi-Fi's just been cutting out forever.
Yeah.
There was a ton of people today. It's Saturday. It's right before Easter. There's probably going to be half the people tomorrow because of the religious holiday.
Yeah.
So we'll report back to you with how many people do show up tomorrow. We're going to be there, and I'm pretty sure they're going to hand out eggs like they do at every celebration. And 2017, there was a Donnie Darko, Frank the Rabbit,
handing
out eggs.
What the heck?
And if you see us, we may or may not have swag for you. We may not have a T-shirt. We may,
Which means we have T-shirts and
Yes.
swag whenever you run into us.
yeah. So come and say hi. We actually have met a couple of you, and it's just great to hear from you guys and your feedback, and there's people that we've met that have been listening since day one as well. So yeah, awesome.
Oi, Ahsoka. Yeah.
No.
So what was that guy's name that approached us? You found him on Instagram. You messaged us.
Yes, he did.
Let's give him a shout out.
Give his Instagram a full shout out. Yeah, that
Yeah,
guy was
it
actually
was-
really cool.
Yeah, it was really nice. He came up to us and said, "Hey, right quick, I just want to tell you guys that I listen to you," and we're like, "Nice, thanks for all the listens." And
Yeah, his name was
support.
Jack, and he's really, really, really nice.
Yeah.
No, again, awesome stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
We covered all the photo ops. We talked about the big panel, Ahsoka. We talked about Tales of the Jedi. That's gonna be a season 2 continued.
Was there any exclusive merch there that you were like dying to try and get, or was it just kind of like?
I'm gonna try and get those cool Acolyte shirts that you guys got. I'm guessing
That's
they'll
the one
probably be
that
out of
it's
stock.
funny because we were comparing what we bought, and then I like pulled out my Acolyte shirt, and you're also like, I got one too. And I was like, damn right, yeah, that's the one we wanted.
Yeah,
It's a cool new logo for Acolyte.
Yeah.
I'm
really liking the logo.
And the funny thing was like, we're gonna wear this, and no one's gonna know what it is for like a long time, and then be like, oh yeah, you said it was gonna be like faded by the time it actually comes out.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, yeah, we're gonna wear those T-shirts possibly
Yeah.
kind of a little out by the time Acolyte does drop. I was telling Josh last year's celebration, I bought the Ahsoka T-shirt, and I wear that thing all the time around my town, and I never have anyone ask me about it or look at it or anything. They're just, it's like, man, this is like a big deal. I mean, these Ahsoka shirts aren't like they're super rare. I mean, it's just one of those.
But what's gonna happen is when like Josh is on his day off and he's walking like at Hollywood Studios or going to Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah,
or
if you go to
somewhere.
Galaxy's Edge, man, you're gonna swamp with people like, where'd you get that shirt? And you're like,
Whoa!
well, I have bad news for you, buddy.
You're gonna be like,
I got it from
Ondar.
Yeah. Well, guess what? He's out of stock because someone bought 12.
That is always my favorite thing. It's like you'll go up to someone and you're like, "Hey, man, where'd you get that?" In Galaxy's Edge, especially, and they're like, "My mom made it," and you're like, "She have an Etsy, bro?"
Yeah, dude, come on, man.
Mom.
Yeah. The Wi-Fi was kind of rough today.
But it's everyone connecting in the same area and then just shuts it all down. And it was really bad for people who actually were trying to get into panels and they had the QR code. It was on their phone, but they couldn't connect.
Yeah.
So they just had to wait off to the side. Like, okay.
I definitely lost signal at some points, but then whenever I got to like the booth, like kind of the area where we were doing autographs and everything, it was a lot easier to like get connection. But, Yep.
So yeah, well, actually, one thing I didn't mention, I got into the Celebration store right away, first thing in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't attempt to go to the Ahsoka panel. I just attempted to get in the Celebration store. Only took me about 10 minutes to get in.
Yeah, it didn't take me long at all.
I found a lot of stuff that I wanted. A lot of stuff they didn't have either in my size or just wasn't there. A lot of the stuff that's like medium and smaller was just completely sold out. And I was trying to buy stuff for other people, but I wasn't able to for those sizes. But the other thing Josh brought up, exclusives. So if you go to the Hasbro Pulse booth, they have the Revenge of the Jedi Vader there, the 6-inch Black Series. You don't buy it there. You are given a card with a unique code, and you scan the QR code, and then you can pre-order it, and it gets shipped straight to your house. But there's a little caveat to that.
Oh my gosh!
Because Josh attempted it, and once he got past the selection for country, he didn't change the United States, so it stayed with the UK. So now he has to ship it to the UK and fly back and pick it up.
Wait, what?
So on the card, if you scan it, it's going to take you to the Hasbro store, and it's going to ask you to use whatever the unique code you had on the card was. It's at the Hasbro store, and I did not change my location from the Hasbro store to the US because it already thinks I'm here.
Yeah.
Right. I put in that code. I go to buy it, and it only comes up with Isle of Man and United States. I mean, and the UK to be able to like ship it to. And I'm like, but what about the US? And then I go to change the bar and I go to the US, like you should be able to.
Yeah.
And then it boots me onto the front screen and I can't use the code anymore. And I was like, oh my goodness. But yeah,
Yikes.
so I'll have to go grab another code. But yeah, you can buy two. You can buy up to two, which is cool. Instead of just getting one.
They also did just announce they're doing the new Ahsoka clone helmets for Black Series. And then they're also doing a Return of the Jedi R2 where like he goes towards the panel and he tries to open it and he gets zapped and he goes back. So all of his panels open up. There's Luke Skywalker from Return of the Jedi, new one in there, and there's also a new Darth Maul from Rebels as well. So a lot of new toys coming out. I've gotten a couple of the new, well, not the new, but the semi-new Black Series myself on the show floor this past day. But yeah.
And tomorrow we have a Lightspeed Lane reservation, so we'll be able to get in right away.
Yep.
And see what new stock they have, because sometimes during Celebration they'll replenish what they're missing. So hopefully everyone else
Lots
is
of
looking for stuff.
maximum Rebo purchase.
Yeah, I know.
There's like a whole bunch of plushes.
I'll probably go after the Max Rebo plush, and then I'll probably go after
The
like,
shirt was cool.
I'll probably go after probably not the shirt actually, because I can't believe I'm saying this, but I have a lot of Max Rebo shirts. So I would like to maybe add to my stock and maybe grab like an Acolyte shirt or a Skeleton Crew shirt. But
Did they have Skeleton Crew shirts?
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
They had,
I missed that.
they had the same one that like it has the same logo that like, you know how the Acolyte is, says the Acolyte, like it's going to be the same logo.
Okay.
Yeah, it's that one, but for Skeleton Crew, it's a gray shirt.
oh, that's cool.
All right.
Cool. There you go. Anything else?
I think that is it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for listening. We would like to thank all of our awesome Patreon supporters for our purple tier.
On the purple tier, we have Chris Simpson, Kevin Leininger, Devin McCaffrey, Drew Peters, Sean Greathouse, and Zach Netzel. On the red tier, we have Fenrir 526, Maya Morris, Texas Vader 76. And on the black tier, we have Maka Tautala, Nathan Shank, and Liam McCallion. And we met Evan O'Picker at Celebration yesterday. He showed up and we had a nice little chat, and it was awesome to finally meet him. And he's promising me that when they announce Celebration back in the States, he's going to make the trip back like we made the trip over here, closer to him.
Oh, good.
And hopefully
Yeah.
we can hang out then too in 2025. So yeah, looking forward to that and meeting more people. So yeah. Thank you so much for all the awesome love and support, guys.
And you can also find our you can also find our Patreon under Star Wars Stuff Podcast 2187 on patreon.com. You can also find us on TikTok, search Star Wars Stuff Podcast. We have an email, starwarstuffpodcast@gmail.com. We're also on Twitter @StuffPod, Instagram @Star Wars Stuff Podcast. We also have our own website, stuffpodcastnetwork.com. It's got all of the links to all of our streaming channels, including Twitch as well. And we're Twitch, Star Wars Stuff Gaming. We would not be doing this if it wasn't for you guys. So thank you so much for listening. From myself, Josh, and David, may the force be with you always.
This is the way.